But I'm more than excited to be on with you guys this month for our main webinar, which is all around a specific topic. And today's topic is closing deals, right? Everybody wants to make big checks, but nobody wants to do the work to get there, right? So that's what we're learning about today. We're going to dive into what it takes to close some of these large transactions that get closed at ROK Financial, and really where are the hiccups? What are some of the things that come up, and how does ROK prevent that? Prevent those things from affecting really the ultimate transaction overall, right? So definitely excited, like I said, to be on with you guys. Excited to have the opportunity to speak with you. If you're just joining us, throw who you are, where you're calling in from, and how long you've been a partner with ROK, or whether you're partnered with ROK, yes or no. There's always some newbies in here, so shout out to you guys if you've never been on one of these webinars. If you have been on one of these webinars, welcome back. And if you've never been on a webinar, welcome. Definitely appreciate you guys being on, and look to really do some great stuff with you here and get some information to you guys. So definitely excited to be on. Always like to delay a minute or two as we get going, just so that everybody has a chance to join here. Definitely excited to have the opportunity to speak with you guys and really just get this thing going. So we're going to share our screen. If you've never been on one of these before, we do a quick presentation. The presentation and the recording will be shared with everybody. Once we've gone through the presentation, it's a pretty simple presentation. It's, a few slides. Once we go through the presentation, you guys will then get a chance to ask questions live. So you can feel free to utilize the Q&A throughout the presentation. I'll be pulling questions out of the Q&A, and then we'll be utilizing the Q&A after that to answer some of those questions once we wrap up the presentation. So, without further ado, I believe you guys can see my screen. If you could just confirm for me, you should be able to see the presentation, and we will get this thing rocking. All right, shout out to Charles for the confirmation. Thanks, guys. Just moving the chat over so I can see it, and we'll get this thing going. Awesome. A lot of new partners on. I love to see it. Well, if you haven't already seen this beautiful face in your email, you will certainly be in an inbox near you before long. I am Tony Cimino, our VP of Business Development here at ROK Financial, and I have the lovely pleasure of being your host for today's webinar. But more than that, my role here is specifically lead generation. I make sure that we have business to work on, and how we do that here at ROK Financial is through you guys. Shout out to our Rockstar partners that leverage our business to get the customers that they're working with funding. We have over 20,000 partners across the country. I remember our first webinar that we did was not all that long ago, at least in my purview. Didn't feel all that long ago. But I remember it was just a few years back that we had 38 people register for our first webinar. We had 16 people attend. My mom, Patrick's mom, who's our CEO, they were two of the people that were on. So shout out to our moms, but also shout out to all you guys that have partnered with us and utilize us here going forward. In terms of offering funding to your business owner customers, we really appreciate the partnership, and hopefully you feel that in the support and the and the customization that's available to you. We'll get more into the partnership thing here in a minute. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about ROK, right? So what makes us roll? Well, it's ROK that makes us roll. No, I'm kidding. No, it really is the fact that we support the best industry out there, and that's entrepreneurs, right? There's a lot of people that they have a niche that they work with. They work with restaurants, they work with retail shops, they work with construction businesses or transportation companies, and that's fine. As they say, there's riches and niches, right? But our niche is entrepreneurs, right? Small and medium-sized business owners across the United States who are looking to leverage their business because they see an opportunity, or they're facing a challenge. They need to solve that challenge. They want to take advantage of that opportunity, and sometimes cash is king, right? So you got to have the cash on hand to be able to take advantage of some of these things. So we assist small and medium sized business owners across the country who are seeking capital to, like I said, solve challenges or take advantage of opportunities within their business. We've been doing so for the better part of almost 20 years now. I actually just walked past. We got a new sign in our office on my way down to the studio here. We have a new sign in the office that I just noticed, and it shows our humble beginnings in our first office in 2007. So we've been in this industry a really long time. We know what business owners need in terms of access to funding and how they can leverage that funding to really make their businesses grow. And then what's really unique about us is how our story changed due to COVID. For a very, very long time, we worked directly with business owners on getting them access to capital, right? And for the better part of, 13, 14 years, we were very, very good at that. And then COVID happened, and all of our marketing that we were doing to small business owners all of a sudden stopped working. Right? Mail wasn't being delivered on time, right? If you delivered a piece of mail to a business, it was probably closed during that time, right? So, the email marketing, people weren't checking their inboxes like they had been, so we were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, for lack of a better term. And we really leveraged our partners. We had built a partnership program and started to really reinvest in that. And for the last 5 years, we've done nothing but that. Just continued to reinvest in you guys, if I'm being honest. And that's what these webinars are all about. They're all about you, right? So I want you guys to ask questions. I want you guys to interact. I want you guys to feel like, hey, this is something that isn't just Tony talking at us for 45 minutes, so that they can say that they did something and, pull some content out of it. Yeah, it's great. We got the lights, we got the camera, we got the action, but I'm really about the action, if I'm being honest, right? So at the end of the day, I want it to be something that you guys are pulling relevant information out of, right? So all about today, we're going to learn about why business owners are borrowing money, what are the hiccups that come up along the way that we then assist with, or how we get around some of those things. And then ultimately, a real deep dive onto the partnership, right? How can you guys best leverage ROK? So let's get this thing going, right? Let's get you guys some real information here. Like I said, we have over 20,000 active partners now. We've funded over $2 billion all time, right? Every business that we work with, they must have a U.S. business checking account. That's a must for us. As long as they have a business checking account, they've been in business for 3+ months, and they make over $10,000 per month in that in revenue into that business checking account, then they're a potential customer for ROK. Our core borrowers, though, and I think this is important to point out, right? They typically request between like $50,000 and $1 million, maybe $2 million, right? We have the ability to lend as little as $5,000 and all the way up to $10 million. So there's a much wider range than what our core borrower requests. Our core borrower, they probably have a gross sales of around 300K plus, meaning that they're making 30, 40, 50, 100,000 a month plus in their business, right? 300K annually is $25,000 a month, right? So you want to try to figure out, all right, what do these borrowers look like? Where do these businesses come from? Well, look at the profile of the borrowers that are most successful, right? They've been in business a couple years. They have a pretty good credit score, right? I'm not going to say they have to have great credit. They don't have to have great credit, although we help people with great credit all the time. We were talking about a borrower this morning that had 834 credit, right? That's pretty close to perfect. I couldn't find anything that wasn't perfect on there, so I don't know why they were missing 16 points, but they were. But it's just important that you guys know we work in a wide variety of businesses. A lot of times people think because we're a finance broker, because we're not the bank, we only work on businesses that are startups or have poor credit or don't make much money. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We work with all sorts of successful businesses. The banks just don't lend money to businesses. That's really the reality of the situation. Even the SBA declines 90% of their applicants. So it's really important that you understand that we help small and medium businesses, and that's really the target market, right? So We really want to understand the process a bit, right? And when you want to understand how the process works, you have to understand the very, very beginning motivations behind why somebody would borrow money in the first place, right? Because at the end of the day, when you borrow money, it's going to cost you money, right? I was having a conversation with someone earlier today, and they were talking about 0% credit cards, 0% business financing. Really quick in the chat, have you guys heard about these 0% credit cards or 0% business funding that's available? Anybody ever hear this? So it's out there, right? You can go to a bank and they will give you a 0% credit card. Chase will do it. Bank of America has products, right? So these banks have products. But do you know what comes along with those credit cards or stacking those credit cards or using that credit? First of all, you're maxing out a trade line on your personal credit, right? Because it's definitely gonna affect your personal credit. You don't have a business that it's leveraging, so you have the interest that you're going to pay once that interest rate does kick in, right? So it's usually only interest free for like 6 or 12 months or something like that, and then they're going to pay this exorbitant fee in terms of the interest that is there, right? And then the last part of that is most of the people that offer these products are charging extremely high fees, right? So in order for you to go get go get $100,000 or $150,000, it's going to cost you 15, 20, 25, $30,000 to go get access to some of this money, right? So it's definitely not free. Trust me, if it was free, it would be for me, right? But it's not. Nothing in life is free. So it's important that we really understand all of the products, all of what's available, and then weigh those options against each other, right? Because one thing I can tell you is there is no one better option than another. Realistically, a business owner should understand all of their options and they should weigh them against one another, but also against the opportunity or challenge that they're trying to solve and determine which is the best based on that. It's, trust me, what they pay in terms of cost of capital is very small in terms of the actual cost of borrowing money. So let's get into it here, right? What are some of the frequently asked questions that we get when it comes to borrowers, right? Some things are like, how quickly can I get the money, right? How quickly can I get access to capital, right? How much is this going to cost me, right? What is my payment? What does the terms look like? Why is my term short? If I already have worked with someone else, how can you help me, right? What's going on and how can you make this work, right? We get so many questions. Well, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to answer some of those simply by explaining the process, right? So here's the biggest objections that we get when it comes to borrowing money, right? It could be that they're not familiar with the loan process, right? I'm going to start in the bottom right. I know that's most people start top left. Well, Tony's different. He likes to start bottom right. Right? So they're unfamiliar with the loan process. Well, what do you mean that you're unfamiliar with the loan process? They shouldn't be familiar with the loan process, and you as their point of contact should be able to explain what that process should look like, right? So when you work with ROK Financial or you refer customers to ROK Financial, the very first thing that we do with any borrower is typically a discovery call. It's very rare that we're getting rates, terms, or anything before we've actually just had a chance to have a quick conversation with the person who's looking to borrow the money, right? And what we do on that conversation is we make sure that we set a reasonable expectation as to what should come next, right? And in sales, this seems like the thing that makes the most sense. But I'll tell you, there's a lot of salespeople that don't know what's coming next. At ROK, we know what's coming next based on what your business does, how long you've been around, where you're located. We know what lenders willing to do what, where, when, why, and how, right? And so we're going to explain that to you and make sure that that's even relevant for you, right? One of the things that I want you guys to know is we obviously deal with objections and pushback, right? But we deal with much less objections and pushback because of the way our process is set up. By explaining on the upfront what it takes to actually get access to capital, well, guess what? We're shaving down some of those people who are then able to self-select out of the process, meaning that they're not a fit to begin with, right? So just by getting them familiar with the loan process and explaining what it's going to take to apply for a specific product or a specific group of products, right? You're going to really understand what that business is then able to leverage, right? So you have these conversations, and in these conversations, you're providing education, but you're also learning so that it creates a smoother process going forward, right? The next thing that comes up from time to time is they've lost their opportunity, right? When you have a borrower who is highly engaged, highly motivated, right? Hey, can you get me money? 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 Right? There's usually a motivation behind that, right? So when you are talking about a borrower who has a time sensitive scenario, the best thing that we can do is be hands on, right? So, how do we do that? Well, number one, I would get your business development officer involved, right? What I would do is I would call my business development officer and I would say, I have a referral that they need funding by X, right? It could be tomorrow, it could be today, it could be next week, it could be next month, whatever it is, right? But if you knew that there was a time sensitive scenario and you don't bring attention to it, well, then we can't react. Right. So a part of it is we got to work together. Right. You guys create a little bit of urgency, and then all of a sudden we're able to react and jump in as well. Right. So there's that part of it. The second part of it is understanding that where did they go before this, right? How many times have they tried to solve this challenge or tried to take advantage of this opportunity, right? Because a lot of times what we found is when there is a borrower who's lost an opportunity, they probably gave two or three other people a shot. So why not give us a shot too, right? They may think they have lost the opportunity, but they don't really know, right? Meaning like, hey, you might think, hey, I'm trying to buy this specific truck, right? No, you're really trying to buy a truck. And I get it. You might want a specific truck at the moment because you found it at a specific dealership and that person sold you on why the truck was great, right? The wheels spin, the steering wheel works, right? The windows go up and down, right? But at the end of the day, what it really is that you're buying is a truck. So once you understand what they're doing with the truck, what kind of truck they would need, well, maybe there's three or four other dealerships in their local area that are offering similar trucks, right? So I have seen us go get a company an equipment financing approval. Right? That equipment financing approval might have taken a couple of days. It might have taken a day or two, right? In that time, they were able to sell the piece of equipment directly to somebody who bought it cash, right? And then what we're able to do is go to the business owner and say, hey, listen, you're still approved for financing. We just need to go find the new piece of equipment, right? So we've helped these business owners go out and re-find a new piece of equipment, whether it be a truck or a piece of restaurant equipment, right? We've done this before, but we'll continue to do it again in the future because you didn't really lose the opportunity. You still need the truck. You still need the restaurant equipment. The only thing is you lost that piece. So it's really important, again, that you get into the nitty gritty, you understand these things, and then you leverage somebody like ROK so we can help you and your customers take advantage, right? And then the cost of capital and repayment terms, right? I would tell every borrower that terms are based on what they qualify for, right? The people who get the best rates and terms and cost, all of that comes down to their borrower profile. We don't make that up, right? One of the things that gets very funky is money makes people act funny, right? So they get very prideful about their application or a decline that might happen or a reason for the term being shorter than it could be, right? So what we've found is by educating borrowers on why they've received the cost of capital that they've received, on why the repayment terms are what they are, well, then we can go in and explain these terms and how they can take advantage of them, right? But a lot of times what happens is once people hear how expensive something is, they want to walk away, right? Or how short their term is, so their payment's going to be higher, they want to walk away. But they forget that opportunity that we were just talking about, right? So it's important that we as those that are educating these borrowers that we keep their eye on the prize and help them solve their challenges and take advantages of their and take advantage of their opportunities. So it's important that we remain in that seat for, for our borrowers, right? Couple quick things that we do that really streamline our process, right? We're extremely transparent and honest from the moment we pick up the phone till the moment you're closed within our system. It only allows us to act more efficiently, right? So by not not focusing on any one area, but focusing on every area. We're able to show borrowers why they've qualified for one thing, why they wouldn't qualify for another, and really explain that to them in a simple and transparent way. We set great expectations, and we try to really have borrowers understand what being realistic means, right? I'll be the first person to tell you, if somebody was giving out $1 million at 0% interest over the next 500 years, I'd be the first one online, right? But at the end of the day, that's not the case, right? So we want to make sure that we're explaining what is potentially to come, so that when we do get there, there's no there's no tricks up the sleeve, or the wool wasn't pulled over anybody's eyes, right? And we keep consistent and clear communication, right? We're constantly following up and providing updates regarding any pending applications, anything that might be pending from a borrower, right? We're communicating back to them. We utilize one-to-one virtual meetings, phone calls, text and email communications. We have automated processes that allow us to educate borrowers, right? So it's important that you guys have faith that, hey, the reason that ROK can do a presentation like this today is because we've been in this industry, we've been around it for years, we know what it takes, and more than anything, it's what we're doing for you guys on a day-to-day basis anyway, right? So if you're looking to leverage this stuff, just don't worry, you already are. That's the most important part, right? So how do we identify objections, right? Because one of the things that I want you guys to get really good at is making great referrals. Really quick, in the chat, let me know, do you want to make great referrals? Just say yes in the chat so I know that you're still with me. I feel like I'm putting some people to sleep, so I want to make sure that you're still with me. If you're here, you want to make great referrals, well, then throw yes in the chat. There we go. We got the chat popping. There we go. I love it, because if you're going to make great referrals, we have to work together, guys. We have to work together. So it's important to me that you understand what these objections could be, how to identify them, and then lay them up to us, right? Let us work on these things together. So if you are somebody and you are already working with ROK and you have your points of contact, this is the types of stuff that you want to communicate to your business development officer, to the business finance advisor working with your customers, right? Because this is the stuff that's going to allow us to close more business. And realistically, guys, I'm not saying that this is going to take us from doing no business together to doing all of the business together. What I'm telling you is this might get us a couple more deals done this year, right? And we might help 2 or 3 more businesses in your local community. And we might help send 2 or 3 more kids to college, right? Because we were able to help a business owner leverage their business and grow their business and make money and provide for their family, right? So this isn't something that's going to change the world overnight, but it's going to change the world one day at a time, right? So hear your clients out. Make sure that you're hearing your your customers, because a lot of times they'll tell you what's the most, what they're looking for, especially if you ask for it, right? How much money are you looking for? Oh, 100,000. Oh, you're looking for 100,000? What worst case scenario? What would be the littlest amount you would take? Some people would say 100,000. Others will tell you 40. Right? You don't know. But if you don't ask the question, you'll never know, right? And then you say, all right, best case scenario, let's say we were able to get you approved for more than 100,000. What would be the most amount of money that you'd be willing to take? Some are going to tell you 100,000. Others are going to say 250. Right? So you never know. So it's important that we ask the questions, and then we actively listen, so that we can really understand what it is that our borrowers and our business owner customers are looking for, right? And I promise you, if you ask great questions, you actively listen, you're present on the phone, we sell money, guys. That's what we sell. If you're selling money alongside us, I promise you, everybody wants to talk about it. The only thing is nobody wants to build trust around it. So if you want to build trust with your borrowers, customers, ask great questions, right? Ask engaging questions. Don't just give up when you say, how much money do you need? And they say 100,000. Don't just say, okay. Tony told me. Ask them, all right, in a perfect world, what would be the most amount of money you would take? Right? In a not so perfect world, what would be the least amount of money you would take? Right? So now you have a range, right? Then guess what? You went from needing to get somebody 100,000 to getting them anywhere between 40 and 250. Right? So if you want to get good at this, I promise it's little things like this that are going to change everything. Right? And then we continue to do this stuff and work together, and I promise you we find all these little areas of opportunity when working together. So make sure that you're listening, make sure that you're asking open-ended questions. I was told we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, even though I won't shut mine. I do know that we need it. I do know that we need to listen from time to time. Right. So here's some questions that you guys can ask. Right. I think I even saw one in the chat. So if you guys want to screenshot this one so that you have it, right now in front of you. Here's a couple of quick questions that will get your customers starting to talk about, what they would utilize funding for. What's the lowest amount? What's the highest amount of funding? What's the ideal amount of funding? Does your business own any collateral, like in terms of receivables, equipment, or real estate? Are you purchasing any real estate or equipment? Right? How quickly do you need the capital? What are you using the funding for? Right? When you got into the business, how long you been in the business, right? Do you have a team? How large is your team? How many people, right? How many salespeople, right? You can ask all of these questions that will teach you about the businesses that you're working with, right? And in a financial or in a, in a capitalistic mindset, right? Thinking about how can they leverage financing and capital to grow and sustain their businesses, right? This is a tool. I don't know if anybody knows this yet, but we rolled out a sick piece of collateral. I mean, not collateral, a sick piece of technology recently. It's truly awesome. It blows my mind how some of this stuff works, right? Anytime you submit a transaction to ROK Financial, as long as that transaction, I believe, is making more than $15,000 or $20,000 per month, we're running it through our automated funding analysis, and we are then providing feedback directly to the borrower about what they've qualified or what they could potentially qualify for or don't qualify for, right? So remember I was talking about earlier, you have to educate everybody on what their options are and how those options work and allow them to make the decision. Well, this is a big part of that. Right? This is a big part of bridging that gap between setting the expectation and then living in reality, right? Because you can set all the expectations you want, but if we're not willing to live in reality, well, then it doesn't matter. Well, this is one of those bridges between those points. So once we've had a discovery call with a borrower, once we've had the chance to gather their initial package, right, their initial loan package, what that is 6 months of bank statements, or 3 to 6 months of bank statements, excuse me, signed ROK application, and I would tell you a tax return. Doesn't always need to be a tax return, but I would tell you a tax return, right? Once we've received the ROK application, the bank statements, and any other pending documentation, right, we would then run the funding analysis, right? And it's going to look at your customer's credit. It's going to aggregate all the data from their bank statements, and it's going to really do a full analysis of the industry and all of the data that we have that backs up all of the information that we've gathered over our almost 20 years in the business, and applies that back to your borrower's exact scenario, right? And it goes through each of the products that we offer and how they could potentially qualify or why they potentially do not qualify for those types of products, right? So if somebody doesn't have or is not a B2B business, for example, a restaurant or a pizza place, they cannot get accounts receivable financing. I'm still waiting for the pizza place that when I walk in, they let me take my pizza out and I get to pay for it 30 days later. It still hasn't happened. But as soon as they have it, believe me, I will be there. And then I will be the first one with terms on a pizza. Once you have those terms though, right? Like if you're that pizza place and you're buying buying, you're buying in bulk from, from a provider that sells your boxes or whatever it is. A lot of times, you're only making payment once a month. They're making deliveries a few times a month, right? But a lot of times those vendor relationships, they have terms, 30, 60, 90 days, right? That's the way that B2B business works. You don't, you don't pay cash on demand, on delivery like the pizza example I gave, so it's important that you understand, it's important that you leverage this, right? But it's important that you know what your customers experience is like. So this is a new piece of technology for us. It just rolled out in the past couple of weeks. If you guys are seeing it or hearing about it from your borrowers, let us know what they're saying, what you're hearing. It's a really cool tool, but we know like any good tool, we want to make sure that it works, right? So definitely feel free to provide some feedback, and definitely feel free to to let us know how it goes. Somebody says terms on pizza is crazy, but you can eat now and pay later with DoorDash and Afterpay. That's kind of crazy. I didn't even think about that. You are right, right? I guess a credit card kind of works the same way though, right? Like you're given your own terms. Whatever. We'll have that debate later. I could do this forever. All right. So I just wanted to show you guys this really quick tool, because it really does speak to this exact portion of where we deal with the most pushback, which is right after somebody applied and right after we start figuring out whether they're getting approved or declined, right? This is where we're getting the most pushback. So we've built a tool. We're utilizing that tool. We have a ton of other resources that we share and information that we provide, but this is just one part of the process and one of the ways that we're looking to solve some of the challenges that we're already aware of, right? So you guys don't have to do this. We're going to do it on your behalf, but the point of this webinar was to explain what happens and how we solve that stuff, right? So really quick, I don't know if you guys were on the last webinar or any of these social media posts that I know that I've seen or go live, or any of the videos that I've shot. Have you guys seen this at all? You guys know about this? Anybody in the chat know about this? Take a sip for a second. Okay. Okay. We got some people saying we know. All right. Look, this is better than last month. Last month, everybody was a no. Love it, love it. So I'm glad that we have a mixed bag here. So ROK Financial, we are an affiliate-driven business, meaning that our business comes from you guys. We're more than thankful for that. In the past, we've sent things out, we've done some giveaways, we've done some bonuses and this and that, and all that stuff is fantastic, right? But I didn't think that you guys needed another rock pen or maybe chapstick to add to your collection. So what we decided was, hey, why don't we just give away cash? And it was like, wait, what do you mean? Well, what we're looking to do is give away $5,000. That's literally what we're looking to do. And for every deal that you fund in the first half of this year, so this dates back to January 1st, right? Every deal that you fund in the first half of this year is putting you into a raffle for $5,000 cash. And on our July webinar, I am going to get on here live and I am going to pull the winner of our affiliate loyalty program raffle and give away $5,000 live, right? At 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the middle of July, right? So definitely make sure that if you guys are working with ROK and you're looking for more reasons to work with us, which I don't think you need it anymore, but in case there was anybody on the fence, right? Here's 5,000 reasons why you should work with ROK, right? It does not matter whether your deal is a $5,000 funding or this deal is a $5 million funding, right? You can fund 500 $5 million fundings and still lose in this scenario, right? Obviously, everybody's got to be in it to win it. So it's important that you guys are leveraging us as much as possible so that you have as many chances to win, through funding your deals with ROK. Any questions on the affiliate loyalty program? There's no other stipulations. You don't have to pay for it. There's nothing like that. We're just looking to give away $5,000. Is that an exciting thing? Should I never bring it up again? No. I hope you guys are still with me. How many people we got? We still got some people on, I think. I think you're here. All right, yeah, we still got some people on. All right, so we didn't lose them. All right, good. So here's some things, right? I want you guys to understand, right? I want you guys to understand our process. I want you guys to really have a good idea of what's happening, right? So that you can be a successful affiliate when working with Rock, right? So here's a quick snapshot of how deals move throughout the ROK system, right? Pre-underwriting was that exact moment that I was talking about before with the discovery call and gathering of documents. Once we've gathered those documents and we move the deal into underwriting, that is when you would receive that document that I showed you guys, and that is that funding analysis, right? So once they've submitted an application, once we've had a chance to go through a discovery call, they'll get that funding application, that funding analysis. Once they've gotten the funding analysis, we'll then be able to get them their offers. Once they've gone through their offers and been approved, they then make a decision on which offer they'd like to move forward with. We gather any final stipulations in final underwriting, and ultimately that deal is, then funded, and you are paid your commission, right? But I just wanted to provide a quick overview of statuses that you're going to see in the portal, as well as what the process looks like along with those statuses, right? So everybody has a good idea of, all right, well, Tony wants me to fund deals. Well, how do I do that? Right. Well, here's how you do that. Right. You refer over as little as a name and a number. We take it from there, and ultimately you get paid. And then hopefully you win $5,000 come July. Right. So here's a couple of things that you might know, you might not know, you might not know to full extent about our partnership program, right? We offer sales support. So, meaning whether you are generating business owners, you're generating other partnerships, you're doing both, you're going to have multiple sales points of contact on our team to really ensure seamless transition amongst you over to ROK and us working business together, right? That's your funding team. So feel free to get to know that team and make the most of it, right? We literally have every bit of marketing material, insight, and information you could ever need. Whether you want to talk about email and text templates, to social media content, to all sorts of different, different, I don't even know, flyers and PDFs and brochures. We got everything. You can leverage it all, right? And then technology, as much or as little as you want to integrate your technology with ours. We do provide our custom partner portal through Salesforce, so you guys can log directly into our Salesforce CRM, getting a chance to really understand everything as it happens, but also getting access to all of this information right at your fingertips, right? So all of the marketing, all of the sales support directly in front of you, right there in the Salesforce CRM, giving you guys everything that you need right at your fingertips, right? Here's a quick overview on some of the products, right? These are our products. We offer a wide variety of lending available to small and medium-sized business owners. Everything from secured and unsecured lending to asset-based lending, commercial real estate products, equipment financing, working capital and revenue-based financing. So we really offer a wide range, and really anything that's available to small business owners, we're offering today. So it's definitely a good range of products. I do see some questions in the chat. I don't want them to get buried. If you can, throw those questions into the Q&A, and I'll make sure to get those answered here at the end. I think there's only a couple slides left. I do see one about this being recorded. Yes, this is definitely being recorded. Everybody will get a copy of it emailed to them, as well as a copy of the presentation. So definitely get that over to you guys. But our products are really the backbone of who we are and what we do, because this is how we solve those challenges, right? What do you need to begin the process, right? I kind of touched on this before: 3 to 6 months of bank statements, $10,000 per month going into that business banks, those business bank statement, into those business bank statements as revenue, signed ROK application, and that is pretty much that. Once you have that information, you're good to go. That wasn't supposed to change just yet, but we can change it. It's all good, right? And if you are brand new, you aren't somebody that is signed up with ROK, we want you to join the team so that we can both roll, right? Definitely get you guys going. So feel free to scan this QR code on your screen here. Our team is waiting. Not sure why you are. No, I'm just kidding. But no, scan this QR code on your screen, fill out a quick short form. You're going to get partnered with somebody on the team. They're going to reach out to you, walk you through getting signed up, what the portal, and getting access to all that marketing material, and really really get you guys as fully integrated within the systems as possible. But definitely, it was excited to be on with you guys today. I hope everybody has a happy and healthy weekend if you're celebrating the holiday, and enjoy the time as it's the seasons are changing, right? And we hope to see you guys on our next webinar soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.